This episode is basically a trigger warning for everyone out there. I may or may not say something that will trigger you. I have no clue. That's the problem. Like, I have no clue what's going to trigger you. So be warned in advance that anything might set you off, and something most likely will. That's the whole idea. What happens when you trigger an empty pistol? Nothing. Nothing happens. There's no ammunition. The issue isn't getting triggered for all of us. The issue is that we're walking around full of ammunition. We're full of gunpowder, and we're ready to pop off at any moment when anything happens, when anything is said that I deem objectionable or inappropriate, and I have no control over it. And as a result, I'm busy trying to manage all the external world when I know I can't. But the issue is I'm not willing to look inside. I'm not willing to look inside and see the fact that I'm full of ammo. I'm full of gunpowder that's liable to explode at any given moment. And instead of clearing that out, instead of emptying my clip, I'm telling everybody, be careful, this is a loaded gun, don't trigger me. Is that the way we want to play the game? Because we know something out there is going to set it off. Something's going to pull the trigger. And so the issue is that I'm full of stuff. And if I don't empty that stuff out, it's going to reside within me. And then every little thing that pushes my button, that pulls my trigger, I'm popping off. And yet I'm blaming the outside world. I'm blaming this external place that I can't control or do anything about anyway. So I know it's going to behave by its own rhyme and reason for its own reasons, and I don't know why, but I know it's going to do so in a way that might be highly objectionable to me sometimes. So I can't control that. I can't do anything about it. So shouldn't I do something about what I can do something about, which is me, which is what's going on inside of me? Isn't that the place where I create a resolution for all of these triggering events by emptying out my clip and making sure I have no ammo in me, no live ammo that's going to pop off and cause damage when it's released? Isn't that my focus? And frankly, getting triggered becomes a good thing in that way. Because man, if I'm holding some shit that's going to explode, I want to be aware of it. How would I be aware of it without the external world pulling my trigger? So it's a blessing to get triggered if I know how to orient my perspective to allow it to be. And so getting triggered is the greatest gift. Why? Because it shows me where my ammo is. It shows me where my stuff is. It shows me what I'm holding on to. It shows me that within me, there's something inappropriate and it's going to blow up. And it's going to hurt me when it does. And it's going to hurt someone out there when it does. And break something out there when it does. And so when I get triggered, man, that's like the moment to say, wow, thank you. Let me close my eyes, take a moment to look inward and see what it is that I'm holding on to that's about to pop off as a result of this external condition just doing what it does naturally. It shows me that, wow, I have something to resolve. I have more work to do. I get to look inside now and see what's going on in here and clean it out. And next time, if I do so successfully, next time that same trigger pops up, man, nothing happens. It goes click, click, click instead of pow. That's where I'm trying to get. So I say thank you to the trigger warnings. And a lot of what got me thinking about this or feeling this isn't every news site out there where everybody's worried about triggers and all these colleges are creating these manifestos on mundane words that we can't use anymore because it might be deemed offensive to somebody else. And that's a big spotlight on the issue. But the other issue is that I have kids. I have a young boy and a young girl, and my boy, who's just turned 6, asks us all the time, is this a good word or is that a bad word? Could this be said? Should I not say this? And I'm like, whoa, wow. I'm like, why are we having such sensitivity? He's worried about being a bad boy. And as a result, he thinks it's the words. And we tell him all the time, we're like, dude, no, words are just words. Words are containers. But what you put in the container, how you use the word, the intention behind it is what determines whether it's well-intentioned or ill-intentioned. You could use any word, and if you do so maliciously and put the wrong intention into it, man, you're doing something negative. You're going to end up hurting yourself and someone else. Has nothing to do with the word. How are you using the word? This is how we talk to our kids. And so what am I supposed to tell them? Here's a book of words you can't use because someone out there might find it offensive. Someone might find it offensive if I say blue. I don't know what's going to trigger you today or tomorrow. But you shouldn't be concerned with that. You should be concerned with why. So again, I can't give my kids a book with words not to use because the book's going to grow to encompass the English language and every other language out there. Some word out there at some time is going to make someone feel some certain way, and it's not because of the word, it's because how that person's feeling, and they're not willing to look inside, and so they blame the outside world because, man, it's much easier. It's much easier to say, if the world were only different, I would be good, because then I have no accountability. God forbid I have any accountability, because then when something goes sideways, I look inside here, and that's uncomfortable. Now I see how much ammo I'm actually holding and why, and how I was busy blaming everything and everyone else instead of taking responsibility and accountability over myself, over this thing, over what's going on in here. And the more we get caught up in all of these trigger words and trigger warnings, man, the less we get to be our authentic selves. Now we have to manage every word before we say it, because we're not sure how it's going to be received. But guess what? You're not going to know how it's going to be received anyway, even if you say to somebody, have a nice day. They received me based on what was going on with them, which I can't control anyway. And so my job is not to use words with ill intent, to not infuse them with negative vibes and energy, because I'm sending that word out as a carrier wave. On that carrier wave is being carried the intention and the energy and the vibration which I put onto it. So it's like a rider on horseback. And so I put proper intention to my words to make sure that if I'm going to say something, it's going to pass through the 3 gates of speech, if you've never heard them before. The first one, is it true? The second one, is it necessary? The third one, is it kind? If it doesn't check those 3 boxes, don't say it. If it checks 1 but not all, don't say it. If it checks 2 but not all, don't say it. Because what's the purpose of the word anyway? We're not here to create more confusion with our words. We're here to strip away confusion with our words. And if it doesn't pass those 3 gates, you can't do that job. You're going to spread more confusion, no doubt, no matter what, even if you're well-intentioned. Live your authentic life. Let your words pass through those 3 gates before you say them. And don't worry about the external world, because you can't manage it anyway. It's going to do what it does. The best thing we can ask of ourselves is to be the most authentic, genuine, good-hearted person that we could be. And let the outside world do what it does. So please, remember, this is a trigger warning. And thank God for that trigger warning. You could trigger me all you want, and all you're getting is click, 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 and that's a beautiful thing.
Thank you for listening. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please share it with your friends and family. Subscribe, rate, and share so that we could do our part in spreading the light and diminishing the darkness.